Welcome. My name is Guy Reams from Mount San Jacinto College, and this is a review of the most popular operating system in the consumer device market. This is a look at the impact that the Android operating system has had in our current economy. According to Gartner, a market research company, there were 2,300,000,000 new devices shipped worldwide in 2013. Every one of these devices has had an operating system installed on the device prior to shipment. An operating system is software, and oftentimes a packaging of multiple software applications that manage the hardware components of a device. The operating system usually provides the ability for an application to access, use, and share the resources of a device. This discussion is designed to talk about the most popular operating system being shipped today, and it is not Microsoft Windows. This operating system is also not the Apple iOS or Mac OS. The most popular OS being shipped today is Android. Gartner estimates that this OS was shipped on 878 million devices in 2013, by far the market leader in device sales. Android shipments increased 74% in just this last year. Gartner predicts that Android will ship on more than 1 billion devices in 2014. Android has now gained 81.3% of the US smartphone market and over 75% of the worldwide market. Android is an operating system. Chances are you're already familiar with it and will recognize the little green Android mascot when you boot up the device that has Android installed. This is because Google, the primary company behind Android development, confirms that 1 million new devices per day are activated worldwide. This is when somebody opens up their new product and registers their Google account on that device. Google is able to track over 1 million activations per day. We're now going to talk about Kit Kats, jelly beans, and ice cream sandwiches. You have to agree that the world is changing rapidly, or at least the technology we use every day is changing. Consequently, a new way of approaching the management of device resources is required. This is because we retrieve, install, and pay for software differently than we did a decade ago. We have access to networks beyond what was feasible 10 years ago, and the technology that comprises our devices has improved significantly in this last decade. The operating system is at a necessity needing to change, and even the most modern operating system itself is built to evolve rapidly. We call these major changes versions. Android now refers to version changes as a favorite treat. The current release is now being called Kit Kat. The first Android device was the HTC Dream in 2008. This first release was based on the Linux kernel. Don't worry about what Linux is just yet. Just remember that Linux was and is an open source kernel, which serves as the primary building block of an operating system. For years, developers have worked together in a community to improve and simplify Linux. A company called Android started to create this operating system specifically for mobile devices. It did not really become successful until Google bought the company in 2005. Google created an open handset alliance of companies dedicated to open standards for mobile devices. This was in direct contrast to Apple Incorporated, which was gaining significant ground in selling a proprietary operating system and phone, and would later capitalize on other mobile devices as well. Amazingly, since the first launch of an Android device in 2008, Android is now the single market leader, even greater in the number of devices than Microsoft and Apple combined. Android maintains the spirit of the Linux community by offering the source code to the open source community. Manufacturers are allowed to use the operating system to make the changes they want and add the things they choose. They can then release the operating system with a combination of their own proprietary software. Recently, Google has begun to change the way we view an operating system. Major aspects of the operating system are now separated from the core OS and are made available as updates through the Google Play Store. You now receive updates to your OS and may not even be aware of it. However, when a new major release, usually coinciding with a Candy name change, your device will then receive that update over the network. The number of versions out in the market has caused a major issue. As the number of devices deployed increase, the number of mismatched versions available are also increasing. Manufacturers may not want a new version to be deployed to their device, or perhaps limit or reduce the ability to do so. Consequently, the industry is trying to grapple with a world where versions of operating systems are almost as varied as the type and manufacturer of the devices. This seems to fit well in the consumer culture, though, where buying a new device seems almost as likely as upgrading to a new version of Android. That's it. The next time you're in Mountain View, California, take your kids by Building 44 and show them what the office of a computer geek looks like. Yes, your kids will dig it. There really is a honeycomb, a gingerbread man, and I think you might even find an eclair.